So today we are going to discuss about ribbon buttons, or you can say buttons. So when we open CRM, any entity, any form, then we have some buttons that are placed. So when I click on the entity loan, I can see a ribbon button. So it is called as a layer. Okay. So here, if you see new, show chart, delete, refresh, there are other buttons that are displaying here. So when I click new, there are another set of buttons that are displaying in the form. This is not the form, right? So we call this as a home page of the entity. Once we open the form, then this is a form layer. So buttons are placed on a layer. So some buttons placed on a home layer, some buttons placed on a form layer. Okay. Now let's say I'm creating a new record. So when we are creating new record, 4 buttons I can see. So once I save the record, then another set of buttons will be displayed. Now you can see deactivate, delete, refresh, check access. So this is a form layer. One home layer, when we click on an entity, another layer will be on the form layer. This is the so another thing, we have this subgrid, right? New transaction. This is also a button. When I click on this see associated record, this is also a subgrid where we can see different buttons, right? So buttons are placed in 3 layers. One layer we called as a home layer, two we called as a form layer, three we called it as a subgrid layer. What is home layer? When we click on entity, where we can see the views, right? So the buttons that are placed in a home layer. When we open any form, whether it is a new record or existing record, when we open this record will open in a form. Now you can see this button, these buttons are placed in a form layer. This button is placed on the subgrid. Now if we get a request to add a button on the home here, you will simply add it in a home layer. If you want to add a button on the form, you will simply add it on a form layer. It's not something where we can place at one layer, it will not reflect, it will reflect in three. That way it doesn't work. It will work wherever we need to map the button. In that respective layer, we need to add the buttons. Okay. So next, how to customize this button. For example, now I want to create a status field. Okay, I will add a status field. I will add some options here, and I need to perform some operation on button click. So what we will do, we will create a one custom button. Okay, let's see how to create a custom button. So we can use XRM toolbox. In XRM toolbox, we have a tool called Ribbon Workbench. If you search Ribbon Workbench, you will find it. If you don't find it, go to configuration, click on tool library and search for Ribbon Workbench. Select install. Okay. So in my XRM toolbox, Ribbon Workbench is already installed. So you have to use this Ribbon Workbench to manage the buttons. Managing is creating or modifying the existing button. We can use this tool. So please make sure when you get any request to modify any of this functionality, you need to be very careful, because once you save, you cannot revert it. Custom button, you can apply your own logic. If you something goes wrong, you can delete and you can recreate. But out of the box button, we mostly don't get any changes If some cases, if we get such changes, we have to take a backup. I will show you how to take a backup. So before customizing the ribbon button, we need a solution. What I'll do, I will create a solution. So similar to CRM REST API Builder, if we don't want to use this XRM toolbox, we will have a managed solution. So how we install this REST API Builder in our CRM solution, same way we can install Ribbon Workbench. Like this icon, we can see another icon as a Ribbon Workbench. So we can directly use in the CRM, that will open in a different tab. If we don't want to use it in a CRM, then we can, most of the tools we have in the XRM toolbox, so we can use this tool as a holistic application where we can see different tools to manage our project task. So I will create a solution. So when we are working in a solution, if we try to create any entity buttons, then we should not add any forms, any fields to the solution. We should add only the entity. I will show you how to add that. Okay, so now I will create this solution. I can give any name, but as a best practices, I will give ribbon customizations, publisher, version. I have added a solution, right? Now in loans entity, I want to add a button. So we need to add a loan entity here. Click on entity, add existing, search for loans. So while adding this entity, we don't have to select all this dependent component because we are nowhere selecting any field, any form, any views to create the buttons. So we are simply adding an entity. I have unchecked all this component, right? I haven't selected anything. I'm simply adding the entity. It's taking time to add the solution. So once we click on add, we will get this prompt where we can select the include required components. So in entity, we will be having some required component. Now we just wanted to add entity. We can click on no, do not include any required component, because we don't want to add any extra component in our ribbon customization solution, because the loading of solution, the publishing of solution from XRM toolbox will take a lot of time. So why we have created this solution, whenever we get a request to um, change the ribbon customization or work on the ribbon customization, we can simply add that entity to this solution. We can load the project solution where we manage all the entities, but since it contains entities, forms, view, that will not work. So now we have created this solution. Now what we will do, we will just take a backup. How to take a backup? Simply export the solution. Publish all. It's taking more time to publish. I don't know if someone also facing this issue. So meanwhile it published, I will just show you the XRM toolbox. I have connected to CRM. I can click on this ribbon workbench tool. So this tool will be open like this. So if you see here, all the unmanaged solutions will be displayed. Now we have created this ribbon customization as a dedicated solution for the ribbon changes. I have our project solution. First, I will select the project solution where I have entities, more than one entity. I have all the respective fields, forms, views in that specific entities. What happen if I load this? You see here, for performance reason, these solutions cannot be loaded. The solution contains entities that have all their subcomponent. Subcomponent in the sense, entity will have forms, fields, views, charts, everything it will have. So it will impact the performance issue. The solution contain non-entity component. So we should contain only entity component. We should not contain non-entity component. Example, attributes, forms, apps, dashboard, workflows. Okay, and these could be the reasons to performance issue. One, it contains more than one entity. It can contain non-entity component. It can contain more than 5 entities. So let's see our publish changes are published. Yes, and then I'll simply export the solution. Why I'm exporting this solution is just to take a backup. So if any changes that went wrong, we cannot revert it, right? So if we don't have a backup, we cannot revert it. So that is the reason that I'm showing you how to take up a backup. So once we export this ribbon changes, in which entity we are changing the customizing the ribbon button, then we can export and we can keep it as a backup solution. Now we can load the ribbon customization. Click OK. Now since it contains only one entity and it is not containing any entity subcomponents such as forms, fields and all, that's why it is loading. So once it load, we'll see how it looks and how to customize it. So this is the view when the ribbon workbench is loaded for any entity. Now we have added a solution, ribbon customization. In that solution, we have added an entity. So if that solution contains more than one entity, we will get it is at a drop down. If we have 3 entities, when we click on drop down, we can see the entities. Since we have only one entity, so this is the structure. So as discussed, buttons can be placed in 3 layers: home layer, form layer, subgrid layer. So if you see, this is a home layer. You can see it, right? This is subgrid layer. This is a form layer. Now, if you get a requirement to add a button on a form, then you will simply add this button in the form layer. If you get a requirement to add a button on the subgrid, you'll simply drag this button and drop it in a subgrid layer. Same for the home. Okay, I'll just show you on the form layer. So we have these buttons. Okay, so I will just drag this button. I'll drop it in a form. So once the button is placed in the form layer or any of the layer, we can change the button. This is the ID. I will tell you what is command here. This. If you want to change the label name, you can add the label. If you want to add a tooltip, tooltip is when we hover near the entity. What is the tooltip that we want to display? We can give it here. and we can also add the images. How to add images? First, we have to create a web resource. Then we have to select that web resource image in the ribbon workbench button. So here I will add some existing button. I will select this. So 32. Convert activity. 32. Okay. So once we add this, we have placed a button. Now, if we need to configure any action, right? So in order to see this button on the form, CRM form, so in order to see this button on the form, that button should have any action. Without having action to the button, then what is the usage to place the button on the form? There should be some action when we click on that button, right? So those actions we need to configure. How we can configure? Using command. So to view this button on the CRM form, this button should have a command. Now I will create a command. How to create a command? If you scroll down, so here we have added a button. Here we have a command section. Click on command. So here we can add the action. Here we have action, add action, display rules, and enable rules. I will discuss about display rules and enable rules later. I will just add the action. So here we have JavaScript action, URL action. Let's say when I add a button, when I click on the button, if we want to navigate to different URL, different site, then we have to use the URL action. So if we want to execute some logic, business logic on button click, then we can use this JavaScript action. First, I will show you on the URL action. Okay, address we will give it as mm, so we will give this URL. Copy address, paste it. Okay, pass parameters. We don't have any pass parameters. False. Window mode. I will just use it as a new window. Now we have added a button, and to that button we have added a URL command action. Now we need to associate this command to button. Click on the button. Here select the command. Now once you select the command, you can publish the changes. The ribbon publish will take some time. As you can see the progress. First it will publish the changes, then it will import this. Something happened. Let's see if it is published or not. So I will refresh the CRM. It's not published properly. We have to publish it again. So empty label found for the property tooltip. Okay, let's add a tooltip. So some try it again. See, if we have only one entity, then we are facing this taking a lot of time. So if we have more than one entity, obviously it will give a timeout exceptions. Okay, and it will give different errors. See, we haven't published any changes in the CRM. It gives us the alert some publish is currently happening, we cannot publish the changes from XRM toolbox, right? If we are manually publishing any changes directly in the CRM, at the same time, another changes should not be published. So in real time, when we are working as a team, so one developer is publishing his changes, the second developer cannot publish because the developer one changes are publishing. Once that publishing is completed, then only another publish can happen. At the same time, multiple publish will not happen. Either it is from the XRM toolbox, whether it is directly in the CRM. So if we face such issues, then we have to wait for some time because the existing published solution will complete. Once it is complete, then we can publish the solution. So these are the frequent issues that we will face while working as a team in the project. So I will be creating my component and I will be publishing my changes. Someone will also publishing his changes. So that may parallel once it parallelly happen, then either my changes will not publish or his changes will not be published. So we need to be careful. So our changes are published properly, and while that time there are no publishing should happen. If it happens, then our publish will not be executed as a success. We will get an error saying another publish is in progress. So underlying connection, why we are getting these errors. Yeah, we can see the button. When we click on the button, the open URL action is triggered. You can see this button. So when on button click, we configure the open URL action. So URL is opening in different window. So similarly, when we click on the button, we can execute our JavaScript as well. So we have some alerts, right? Show alert. Okay. What we are doing, account name. Okay. So I will just configure this action. So we have done it for the contact. New contact. So when account name is selected, we used to get this in contact for interactive experience form. So when a company is selected, we are getting this. So same alert, we can do it on the button click. But this is a contact entity. Let's see what we have in loan. what we will do here, let's say when salary is added, then we will show an alert saying personal loan should be 5 times of your monthly salary. Okay, home loan should be 50 times of your salary. Mm, gold loan should be based on gold, car loan should be based on car. So we will just simply show this alert. Okay. First, what we need to do, we need to create a JavaScript function. So I will create a JavaScript function show notification function show notification. So here we can use the execution context, but here we should not register this function in a form because we are working on buttons, right? I will just show you. Register base function in ribbon button, JavaScript function in ribbon workbench using parameter. So if you observe this, we have to do some in different way. So we have to use a CRM parameter because we are not registering the function in form. Wherein in form we will be having a checkbox to select the pass execution context. But here we don't have this option. We have to add a parameter. We have to add a CRM parameter. Okay. So if you see this function, let's see if we have it in this block. So we don't have it here. We will create execution context where form context is equals to execution context. Here execution context will be a CRM parameter. So what we need to do it here when the button, or if we don't pass, this also fine because we are simply showing the alert. So what we will do, we will use this alert dialog. I will select alert message. So I need to create it as a variable where alert message will be home loan should be 50 times salary, car loan should be based on selected car, personal loan should be 10 times of your salary. This is the message that I wanted to show. So since I declared this message in this variable, I will simply use this variable here. Here we are not using any xrm.page or form context. I will not pass this. Different requirement I will show you how to do. Now I will register this function. So how I need to use this XRM toolbox, tools, web resource, and this solution, contact.js. So we have 137 line code. Okay. This function I will remove. This function is for Cypress. Yesterday we discussed. Now I will copy this. I will paste it here. Publish. Now this is the my JavaScript function. So I have copied the JavaScript function. Let's open the XRM toolbox, ribbon workbench. Now I'll go to command, go to solution elements, command. I will remove this action. I don't want uh, the action of JavaScript open URL action. I wanted to create. I will delete this. Okay, I will create a command action, add action. Now I am selecting JavaScript action. The library is the web resource name, sba underscore contact. The function name, this. So if we are using any form context, then we have to click on add parameter, CRM parameter. This will act as a, when we click adding the JavaScript function on the CRM form, we will check that checkbox, right? Pass execution context. The same way it will work. Since it is a form, we have that checkbox. It is a ribbon workbench. We don't have the checkbox. We have to use the parameter as a CRM parameter. That I will show you for another function in next classes. As of now, I will show you how the JavaScript action will trigger. Now we have added the action. Now let's publish. Sorry. Let's see if the command is added to the button. If command is not selected, let's add the command. And this command have a JavaScript action. JavaScript is this, function is this. So on the button click from this JavaScript web resource, this function will be executed. Let's publish it once again. Again, we got this error. Let's see if it is published in the backend. It's not published yet. I will publish it again. So using this tool, we can create buttons. We can hide the existing button. And we can also perform the actions and the button click. Okay. Everything that we can manage in the XRM Toolbox Ribbon Workbench tool. So let's publish, refresh again. We are getting some publishes happening in the backend. Still not get published. We'll add tooltip description. Done. Tooltip description. I will copy the same. So while working on this, we should be very patient. A lot of time this will fail, and sometimes even if it is published successfully, the the functionality that we are expecting will not work due to some publish issue or sync issue. So we have to carefully publish properly and then refresh and then verify. Now you see, when I click on this button, I'm getting this alert that we have configured with the message. Home loan should be 50 times of salary. Car loan should be based on the selected car. So we have given this notification on button click. So whenever the button click, JavaScript function that we have registered will execute. Whatever that we have written in the JavaScript, that will be executed in the show notification. So this is the function that we registered. We are giving this message in a alert, and the same is executing here when the button is clicked.